let me give you an example of this. And I'll actually use the last hour with all the readings as an example, because so even though there was like 2 or 3 people that I read in a row and they had a lot of no's to say, they were like, no, like they were like no's and etc. If I was attached to the experience of suffering, or if I was really good at suffering, then every single one of those no's would have immediately thrown me off or caused me to go into an internal state of retraction, meaning I would have pulled my energy back, because immediately what I would have done if I were hell-bent on punishing myself, or on comparing myself to everybody else, or on trying to make myself feel bad because the person didn't click or understand exactly what I was talking about, what I would have done is I would have immediately gone into my headspace and I would have been like, oh, I suck. I'm not very good at this, or I don't know how to do this very well, or everybody is seeing me and I look like a damn fool. Or I would have gone into this whole mental spin with my mindset. But having done this, I know better, because I have seen this over and over again, where whenever I do that, I never ever try to take the no's as a personal thing, because I know from experience that people do not click until after it's done, like, and they understand. So I don't go into this negative mind space of something's wrong with me, I'm bad, I'm awful, I don't do this very well. I don't take myself though. I don't even allow myself to go there. I may spend like a second there on an off day, but I try not to let myself go there. And instead I'm like, nope, I'm going to pull myself back from the edge of what I'm trying to jump off of. And I'm going to know better, because I know from experience that that's not the way this works, and that I know that people are going to figure things out when I'm done with them. So immediately I just tell myself, that's okay. People have seen this. They're seeing you do this 2 times in a row, 3 times in a row. They're going to judge you. They're going to criticize you. They're going to tell you, I don't go there. And I didn't allow my mind to go there, because I'm like, no, I do this enough. Enough people see me do this that they know that there's something going on here. So I don't need to prove anything. This is going to be proven over and over and over again over time. And some of those people are going to end up coming back, posting in the comments, oh my God, I realized now what you were talking about. So I don't worry about it, but I go into a positive headspace and I give myself a different direction to go with it. All it does for me though, all it does is it forces me to say, okay, how could I have sensed that piece of information more specifically, or could I've interpret something else in a different way? And so instead of trying to punish myself or trying to get on myself, I instead use the experience to say, how could I have done it better? What could I have done better? What could I have done differently? And that's all I do. So that's the most that I'll allow myself when criticizing or judging myself, because it doesn't help me to go into this tailspin of like, okay, now let me compare myself to this person or to that person, etc. And so that's why I don't do that, because it's not going to serve anybody. And I mean, what is to be gained from that? What is to be gained from that? So that's an example of how I repivot and I don't allow myself to go into a dark space with something that isn't going the way that I would prefer. But it's still in my mind, I'm like, nope, still valid. I'm sticking with what I'm saying. I'm sticking. And this is also something that has made, there's a lot of psychics and mediums out there who, especially mediums, when they're doing readings, for example, when I was saying, this is the name I'm getting, or I'm giving them the first part of a name, and they're like, oh, yeah, this, my sister, this, I could have said, oh, yes, and immediately embrace that, because I'm like, I would rather be seen as right than to stick to what I'm getting. And so there's a lot of mediums out there that they will actually just agree with what that person is saying just so that they look right. I'm like, I don't give a damn if I look right or wrong, because I know better. So I'm like, no, I know what I'm seeing and it's not what they're telling me. And even though it's pretty close, that's not it. And I feel like that's not it, which is why I tell them, I could have easily owned that and said, yeah, that's it. And like run with it. But that's not going to help them figure out who the person is that I'm seeing or that I'm sensing. And I actually want to honor them in spirit, because if they are willing to come and talk to me and they're willing to come and connect with me and share the information, I honor that. And I honor the fact that I'm even allowed to do this and that I'm able to do this. So for me, I'd rather honor the information and look completely wrong in front of people than to agree with someone because they gave me something that's pretty close or even similar, because I want to look right. This is not about me. And I think that's where I differ in a lot of instances. This work is not about me. Yeah, I like attention. Yeah, I'm an entertaining personality, but it's not about me at the end of the day. It's about what am I able to give people to verify and validate that their loved ones are there. And if I'm able to give them information, even if they can't validate it in the moment because they have to go ask a family member or they have to look it up, that's fine. I'm perfectly okay with that, because I would rather have I would rather give them proof and evidence than to just spit something out and make it sound good for the camera. That to me doesn't matter. So it's more important. And I think when we figure out what our priorities are and what matters to us, then we can focus more on that and be very passionate and be very aggressive with our motion in that direction, or our path in that way. So for me, it's all about the work. So if you care about something, focus on the things you care about. If you're trying to ignore or avoid something, don't sit there thinking and thinking and thinking and then obsessing about it. Just focus on the thing that matters more to you. And for me, it matters more to just keep going and keep sharing what is coming through and what I am sensing, not in trying to be right or trying to look good in front of a camera. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what other people think when they are seeing me think. What matters is that the work is being done and that it's being done authentically and that there is accuracy in it. And so that's what they'll figure out when they go check some of those details. But that's another example of that. And I kind of wanted to share that with y'all. So for those of you who are trying to become mediums or trying to become psychic or develop yourselves, you can easily get shut down, because I know that feeling. I've experienced it many a times, especially in the beginning stages of this work for myself. I've seen other psychics go through it as well, and it's not fun watching another psychic. There's a film on Netflix called The Afterlife that just came out as like a documentary. And in one of the episodes, this person is getting a reading by this guy who is at a center, and he's supposed to be like one of the best of the best at that center. But when he starts doing the reading, there's a no. One thing came up, it was a no. After that, you can see him immediately go straight down, and you can see him starting to self-sabotage. And he's listening to the voice in his head that's saying, you suck, you're doing this on camera, this is going to be on Netflix, you're such an idiot, you're going to be completely... and so you could see that happening in the moment when he's doing the reading. And so he let his self-saboteur take over, and he went down that spiral. And we do that with a lot of other things. We do that with our weight. We do that with our relationships, and we compare ourselves to, well, all my friends are married and they're all settled down and I'm still single. Or all my friends are having kids and I haven't had a baby yet. My life is still a mess. Like, we do that. We compare ourselves and we listen to that self-saboteur, and we send ourselves into a spiral, and we get into our head, and it will break us. We will be our own self-saboteur. So that's why you have to really, really know who you are, know the value of your work, and understand what you're bringing to the table, even if the people who are in the moment witnessing it or are seeing you do it don't agree, or they may make a snap judgment, because at the end of the day, their opinion doesn't matter. The person that you're helping or trying to give information to, that's who matters at the end of the day, and trying to convey that information the way it's coming across, not the way that the person may want to hear or what they're willing to agree with. That is the difference between a medium and someone who has established themselves in that and they stick to it, versus someone who's just like going along with it and just fishing for information. And that's something that myself personally, like, I'm so prepared to like respond to that, because that's one of the things that that skeptics will come back and say, like, oh, like, you know, a medium, all they do is they just ask you a yes or no question, or they'll throw something out there. And if you respond back and give them something, even if it's not correct, they're going to run with it because they're wanting to look good or be right. And they're going to make it seem like they got all the pieces. I'm like, I don't care about getting everything right. I just want to get exactly what I'm getting in the way it's coming across. That's what I'm more focused on. So I'm not going to agree with everything that a person tells me to try to make it fit, because it's not about making it fit. It's about, getting it through to them as clearly as I'm getting it, whether they understand it or not. That's more important. So that's where I differ from that. And so you'll see me do a lot of that, where I do not take the opportunity to be right in front of the camera. I stick to what I'm getting, even if they give me something that sounds, even if they give me something that they think sounds close. I'm like, no, the name Patrick doesn't sound anything like Ramsey. So I'm not going to even agree. Oh yeah, that's it. Ramsey, that's it. That's it. No, it's not. That's not what I'm getting. I'm getting Patricia or Patrick. That's what I'm getting. So I'm going to stick to what I get.